group, they decided to play propaganda with the most important news that a lot of you have been waiting for. They say not now. Abuja people, you are probably enjoying, or should I say, how are you enjoying the incursion of the Lagos Agberos into your city? Today, they killed one person, right? Because they were taking over a secretariat, NURTW, MC Olueran at the National. In the next few days, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, FBI in America, will be releasing some documents, 2,500 of them. That is just part one. There is another part where Atiku is holding the University of Chicago, Chicago State University is holding them in their blocos. And Kolu is also sweating under this. I have a guest tonight on that. Every day, even if you are trying to kind of sweep and trying to avoid the Bokwari, who said that nobody should call on him the moment he leave Aso Rock, right? And the revelations that are coming, the criminality that, especially the financial rascality that took place under him, the destruction of Nigeria economy by him, and all these revelations that are coming out, I am still wondering, why is Bokwari still sleeping in his house in Daura? And also, finally, right, as a summary of what you are going to be kind of participating in tonight, right? A storm, they say storm in the teacup is becoming storm all over the place. And when criminal politicians in Nigeria, whenever they kind of want to fight supremacy battle and the rest of that, they go on destroying everything destroyable. In Ogun State, it is dubious Dapo versus Ogidiomole, OGD. Thank you. Share the Motideo. So good morning to you once again. Good afternoon to you, and good evening to you. From wherever you are watching from, this is Maiyegun, and this is live. A lot of you have been following the recent developments. I have a lot of questions that you probably would love to have answers to, or probably maybe not to get answers to them, but out of curiosity, lately, and kind of surprisingly, the government of the United States of America are kind of playing a catch and seek or something like that with Nigerians. There are many factors around what is about to unfold, including the political side of it, even in America. And the news is that they are releasing 2,500 worth of record of Tinubu. The initiator of this happened to be David Hundeyin, and another legal, establishment in that US as well, compelling or asking the court to compel the FBI, DEA, the American government, and the American government in its entirety, to at least do this Nigerian one favor. They have no idea who this man is or was. To the point that some of the available records are showing that the Tinubu that went to America for education was a girl. All right. And Tinubu is saying that although you might actually have a problem with his own sex, whether it's female or male, that's not his own fault. However, he's also asking the court, he's asking the court in America to stop the Chicago State University from releasing the ones, I'm talking about the ones that are currently available. A lot of people are saying there is more. In fact, they said there is actually a ploy to keep that under wrap because Tinubu is more or less like an American asset in Nigeria, which is not going to do Nigeria any good. So all this suspicion and all of that, David Undenye, the main David, they went on to challenge the American government. And finally, the FBI, including all their agencies, they said they have at least 2,500 records, okay? Bank accounts, address, every contact is had in America on record. They will release them in that name, Bola Tinubu, whether it's male or female, we will know that. So that news came out and people were like, does that even matter anymore? Because Nigerian court, what would that change? Would that make them now say, okay, yeah, we now accept that he's a real criminal, and by so doing, okay, it can be, you know what I mean? But a lot of people kind of feel like it is of no use anymore, especially knowing the corrupt judiciary that they have in Nigeria. Others are saying, well, it is not over until it is over. So, according to them, they said FBI will comply with the FOIA request. All right. FBI has identified a total of approximately 2,500 pages potentially responsive to FOIA requests, this and that. FBI plans a processing schedule of 500 pages per month, with an initial release anticipated by the end of October 2023. Pursuant to FOIA exemptions and blah, blah, FBI will not confirm or deny the existence of responsive record. This is them in a court document. Right? Say FBI believes a briefing schedule is premature at this time. So they can't really come out and begin to tell you all they know about Tinubu and his life in America. Right? So, like others have said, right, this is going to be like it's a Pandora box. Okay? Like a Pandora box that a lot of people will be like, oh my, but to what end? What would that change? Well, I'm going to bring David on later tonight, when it's going to be with us for, briefly, basically on this same subject, okay? But while we kind of wait for David to come on and, there is also another development. Remember, like I said, Atiku is asking the Chicago State University to release every record, including if he bought something and the receipt is kept in the record, they should release everything. Pictures, everything that they know about that Tinubu, right? So they too, they said they will release them, okay? But they want to honor the, that confidentiality law or rule of their own institution, which means they will give Tinubu a chance to accept that they should release it, or the court should give the order. Now, in that same court, there's a scheduled hearing on that. I think it's scheduled for 13th or so of this month, which is tomorrow. Okay? I think. So they said Tinubu's lawyer, they now sent a kind of a secret email by requesting that that should be brought forward. Being brought forward simply means that they wanted the court, like they do in Nigeria, you get, without notifying the other party. Just ask them to give you a chance so that you can come in, do your thing, and then disappear. Somebody said it is today, right? It is today. So they said that this happened to be the email that was sent on behalf of Tinubu. Okay, so they said, I am contacting you on behalf of attorney this and attorney that. on September 12, they have a hearing scheduled at 1:30 p.m., which is today. They are requesting to move the hearing, if possible, to Wednesday, tomorrow, or as soon thereafter. Okay, yeah, that's exactly like they kind of were stalling. That's the issue. They were kind of stalling. So it's taking place today. So in response, this is what the court kind of responded back, just for the record, right? So they said, minute entry before the Honorable Jeffrey Gilbert. The court received an email from the offices of Anderson Parks and Counsel for Intervenor Tinubu, asking that tomorrow's hearing in this case be stricken and moved to the next day. The court docked that email on the CM/ECF system, right? Construing that email as a motion. The motion is denied. The email was not copied to any other counsel of record, nor was it filed of record, right? So tomorrow's hearing, does it appear that any other counsel of record was consulted about moving tomorrow's hearing? For the avoidance of doubt, no counsel or counsel staff, the Anderson Parks email was not authored by a lawyer, should email the court without this. Anyway, to cut the long story short, they were kind of stalling in a way to further try to delay. Meanwhile, at the back end of it, when they asked Tinubu, he said, Atiku is trying to sandbag him, something like, box him to a corner legally by trying to expose what he shouldn't, because it is of no use. Atiku just want to destroy him and kind of ruin his reputation and all of that. Now just one university won't be that. The record is kind of already out. And I don't think the Chicago State University record is going to be as mountainous as that of the FBI, 2,500 pages. Sure you get? So he's stopping them there, or stalling to stop them from releasing that, right? While there is a big chunk lion that is already about to devour him as well. Others are kind of feeling like, but Baba, know the door yourself, Charade. America has a way of redacting some of these things. They will release them, but most of the vital information in it, they will just put them on black. And it can take you years again to have all of those redacted, to kind of opened up for everybody to read the real statement. So which is also going to leave more questions than answers, whatever this means, right? Whatever the request they made and the expectation of, David and their own legal team and all that, we'll wait and let that play out. So I'll leave that for when I have David on, if I manage to get him connected tonight, okay? However, there are other developments. This one happened just yesterday. It was a great news, and I genuinely felt happy that, all it required to resolve the problem of this diplomatic role that led to visa ban, visa rule, and all of that with between Nigeria and UAE. All it required at the time was just one senior official to care and take it upon himself or herself and visit or kind of arrange a meeting, diplomatic conversation and all that to resolve what shouldn't affect the lives of ordinary people who try to escape from the failed leadership in Nigeria anyway. So when Tinubu left India, after all the drama of him being like, may God, or kind of like nobody, all that stuff that all of you bantered about at the time. So when he landed in UAE, I was like, okay, let's see how that goes. So I don't know what pushed them to go ahead and release a statement to the public by telling them that the UAE has not as agreed to lift the ban, but they said UAE has lifted the ban and it is with immediate effect. That was a lie. Remember what I told you, that The reason why government get jealous when information is not coming from them is because they love to control the type of information that is released out there, so that they can control your thoughts and your conversation. It has always been like that until the emergence of social media, which has kind of, broadened the knowledge of people, exposure of people about things that the government now lost control on how to lie, use propaganda. I mean, why would you go out and say breaking news? UAE has lifted the ban, and it is with immediate effect, when that is actually not what happened. So we then waited for the UAE themselves to at least mention it in their own press release, to talk about this. This is important to people. And do you want to know the genesis? The genesis of this was that when Nigeria was going down the drain under Buhari and the Emefiele Central Bank, businesses who are operating in Nigeria, you know that if you are, most of them that are operating in Nigeria from outside Nigeria, whether they are into your construction or telecommunication or even government contractors in Nigeria, once they finish doing all they are doing, their profit is returned back to their home country, most of the time in US dollars. That's how they keep the value and their profit intact without losing any much in this fluctuating Nigeria economy that these guys destroyed. So what happened was that some of these companies who have their own domiciliary accounts, like dollar accounts in Nigeria, they discovered that they were unable to withdraw their money. It's like, your account balance says you have a $4 billion worth of your money. Now you want to make a withdrawal, a transfer back to your home country, because that's how you run your business all over the world, right? Then the Central Bank of Nigeria started stalling, giving excuses, until it became a problem. A big problem that eventually led to like a protest from Emirates airline. It's not just Emirates. And listen to me, this is not just even about UAE businesses. I'm talking about so many businesses that suffered this under Buhari. So in October 2022, last year, Emirates have had enough. It was no longer making any sense that they will be operating, but they can't actually withdraw their money. So they protested and canceled all flights to Nigeria. And they didn't stop there. They reported back to their home country to help them recover their money from Nigeria. If the money is in the account, let us take our money. Sure, you get, it was a big problem. There shouldn't be a problem at all, if not these criminals who were like mismanaging Nigeria at the time. So this role now kind of led to the UAE government to now take a drastic kind of measure by saying they are terminating all bilateral trade with Nigeria. This thing I am telling you right now is not like 10 years ago, 20 years ago. This happened just a year, 10 months ago. It's not like it's long time ago. So that some of you who are currently being fed with the lies of Nigerians are the ones who caused the visa ban. They are doing courtism. They are doing drug. They are doing prostitution. They are doing this and that. That some of these paid agents of APC, Egbekegbe, are feeding you on social media. The real thing is that how could you be doing a business in a country for over a year and you have close to $4 billion of your money in a bank and you can't take it? They are telling you we can't let you take that out of our economy. It's going to crash Nigeria economy. And they were lying to Nigerians. And at the end of the day, when UAE intervened, right, they decided that, okay, there's no point in doing anything with Nigerians and Nigeria government. So at that point, they stopped issuing visa. They actually announced that they are going to stop issuing visa on so day. It's like saying in 3 months' time, we are going to stop issuing work permit, visa, everything for those who are living legitimately in UAE. There are Nigerians who live in UAE, like me and you, living in the UK, America, with our family, who are living legitimately, who have work permit. You know what I mean? Like any one of us, suddenly, That affected not those who wanted to visit and go and spend money alone. No. Those who were living in Dubai, living their own life in that same city or in that same country. A lot of them started finding it difficult to get their work permits renewed. By so doing, a lot of them lost jobs, lost their own, even lost relationship, lost family. You know what I mean? As you are facing hardship in Nigeria, so were those in UAE. So when the news came and they said, oh, it has been lifted, I was like, oh, that is so great. Oh, like if I was living in UAE, I would be kind of so elated. It doesn't matter whether you like Tinubu or you don't like him. Only for us to discover that it is actually propaganda. So when the UAE government released their statement, they said there is ongoing conversation, ongoing discussion with Nigeria on bilateral trade. So Bokwari that was going to Dubai, expo this, expo that you are seeing all the videos, pictures everywhere. He was just going there as a tourist. He didn't give a damn about anybody there. Like he didn't give any damn about anybody anyway. So when I saw that Tinubu was going there, I was like, that's going to be a big score. And because it is like going to have a direct impact in the life of real people. And it doesn't matter whether they are supporter of Tinubu or they are not. This is going to impact their life. And at that point, that's a great news. We didn't know that they lied. So the condition they gave them is that they should make a plan of how they are going to start releasing the money to Emirates Airline. That is the conclusion. And in their way, they also said they are going to actually have a deal. They will invest $1 billion worth of investment in Nigeria. And that is what they are carrying about in Nigeria as a success. What investment? Multi-billion? No. They said, if Nigeria is serious, they should start releasing that money. And that's what Tinubu said there. Tinubu told them that, no, we will release the money. We'll begin to release the money. They said, okay, if you start releasing the money, all right, we will reinstate all of this. This is a good gesture. This is what should have been done when this whole thing started. Sure, you get? It's exactly what should have been done. Go and have a convo. Tell them not to kind of implement that visa ban or what have you. You work around it and you ensure that they get their money. And there will not be any wala. But they don't care about it because probably the money was just showing up there in number. It no exists again. Do you think they have $4 billion of Emirates Airline in one bank account in that Nigeria? Dollars, not naira, dollars equivalent. Do you think they have that in that? And Emefiole and his other gangs, they won't have stolen it already. Do you think so? So call you, meeting them and say, okay, we will pay the money. We will give you back your money. But, you know, we are going to give the money back to you bit by bit. And they say, okay, that's fine. Then that should be the news that, okay, Nigerians in the UAE, there is already an ongoing conversation to resolve this problem, okay? So give us time. I have met with the leader of United Arab Emirates, right? And in fact, it was a very cordial conversation. It was a beautiful convo. And there's going to be a progress. With that, say that one too much, in it. This Akuri Ungalailai. You remember that guy I told you name? That one called Ajuri Ungalele. Now we have discovered that he was the one who told 200 million Nigerians the news that it is with immediate effect. When they now held him and say, come and explain what you just said. Is it with immediate effect? Can I go onto the Emirates airline website right now and book a flight to Dubai? Can I phone the embassy right now and book a visa appointment? So when they asked him, he said, no. That's not what is meant. It's not with immediate effect. Talakuri Ungalailai, because that's actually the name. Akuri Ungalailai or Ungalailai, whatever you want to call him. Listen to that chat.
Does this mean that from tomorrow, perhaps, applications won't be scrutinized? The restrictions are removed totally from tomorrow because the statement says immediate cessation with immediate effect. Those words were used. So does it mean from tomorrow, it is business as it ought to be as usual? Not forgetting the work permits issues as well.
every agreement comes with mutual responsibility. There's no free lunch. What I mean by that is the notion that, floodgates open up and that we go back to business as usual, in quote, that is not what Nigerians should expect. I want to be very clear about this so that everybody understands. One of the major challenges within the bilateral relationship with respect to visa processing, with respect to Nigerians, being able to migrate to the UAE, for example, was the fact that there was a kind of a laxity on the part of certain visa processes or certain applications that were being made that created a lack of specificity and a lack of diligent evaluation with respect to who is traveling to the UAE and why they're traveling. And this is why we had issues of just a few, bad eggs amongst our people, giving a bad name to all of us, which was a major sticking point as to how we got to this point. So what we've done as part of this process is put in place new measures that would ensure that there is effective diligence done on the part of both sides. That's the UAE authorities as well as the Nigerian authorities in making sure that any Nigerian citizen who is seeking to travel to the UAE, for example, is being thoroughly scrutinized, not in a way that is prejudicial, not in a way that is presumptuous or negative, but in a way that ensures that, well-meaning citizens, people who want to go do business or people who want to, get an education or people who want to participate as active and productive citizens, in those domains, that they are those people and that they're not people who are getting involved in drug trafficking or they're not people getting involved, in kind of some of the other deleterious modes of existence that some of our people have engaged in when they've traveled abroad. So these are some that have to be sorted out, but not in that is whimsical, in a way that is systemic, in a way that is lasting, and that is part of what we are agreeing to.
Nuisance Lily. Nuisance Lily. Nuisance Lily. Nuisance Lily. Nuisance Lily.
We will work with you to build a Nigeria that is not corrupt. I bring you a message of hope.
We are going to spend a lot of resources on education.
Simple question. When you said with immediate effect, does that mean that Nigerians can begin to put in application for the UAE visa? One thing is that there is no free lunch here. We have to be like and then to go and then people also should not do drug. We should make sure that people who want to go to UAE are going to not to go do drug and and all of that. That's why I was like, in a nutshell, Baba, if somebody they talk like that beside you, normally, even if you know talk out, if you know kind of say it out, what you go to say for your mind? Nuisance Lily.
Nuisance Lily. Nuisance Lily.
Means it's not just that he is a nuisance. People who listen to somebody like that should question their own intelligence, kind of, Right. I told you that David was going to be joining us tonight. Somehow he's running late. So he's likely going to join us still any moment from now. And then we can always go and treat this part of Tinubu upcoming expose. Now, going forward, to those of you who are in Abuja, you probably received the news when MC Oluero and his gang took over your city, because it is going to be Lagos like Abuja like Lagos. That's what you're going to experience now. They shot one person and killed him. And they took over the place because the leadership. Meanwhile, just 2 or 3 days ago, okay, remember, it was Soloma Kinde of Ibadan that started the park managers and all of that. That one, okay, very beautiful idea. And he built, bus stations and all that across Ibadan, which is to modernize the transportation system in your state, okay? And at the same time, to further harness the chance of making more IGR directly to the government. Beautiful idea. Unfortunately, he had to make a murderer the head of the park managers. It can be like saying, now we did they take care of it at the time until that one can't overdo. Long story short, park manager idea from Oyo State got imported to Lagos State by Sanwo-Iku. We don't know why, but suddenly they said MC Oluero and co. They can no longer be in charge of parks, so they appointed park managers, even though they probably never really existed or effective. But somehow it was an affront. Then just a few days ago, they announced that, you know what, all of you go away. You are not really useful to us. Park managers, MC Oluero, take your job back. So he became the head of the garages and parks in Lagos again. Omo Jagaban is in Abuja. You know? I mean, are they just going to sit back in Lagos and some people going to be... No. So they moved to Abuja, where they've been in Abuja for a while. So today, they decided to go and give you the taste of the medicine that they have been serving the Lagosians for a while. And it's just a tip.
Thank you, my people. The problem goes ọmọ ẹgbẹ́ national union ni wá àwọn ọ̀dẹ̀ lórí lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí àwọn olórí lọ́wọ́lọ́wọ́ báyìí so ẹ máa ṣe ẹ mọ́tò ẹ máa ṣe ẹ kọ́ máa wà ń bí kẹ́ máa wà ń bí kẹ́ máa rò má tara yín kẹ́ máa ṣe lórí wa. Oga, go inside.
Hear that? So he was practically telling them that, oh, we are now in power. All of you shine your eyes very well. Just go everywhere. You go here, you go there, you hold that place, you hold this place, and romance yourself and romance. You know now, this is our turn. It's soup. You go begin to see them. They beat everybody for that Abuja junctions now. And you'll be wondering, who are these ones? All those ones who are controlling Maraba Market, all those popular junctions in Abuja, they go chase everybody away in the coming days and weeks. Just thought you should know. Oh, I mean, in case if you run into them. So I kind of have David on, and I don't know if we'll be able to have all the time. I thought we'll have about, half an hour. And I know you have another engagement in another maybe 15 minutes. So I don't know how we can run through this in that short time. How are you, David? can't kind of hear you. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Right, I can hear you, but it seems that the volume or the voice is so distant, kind of, or so distant.
I think it's the type of mic that I'm using.
I don't know if you have anything you have to turn up or something. Sorry about that. Anyway, sometimes all this can be really, So yeah, let's see. So I'm going to let David kind of fix the audio. The audio is so low, and I have some outlined, perspective of his. Outline the questions that will help us, take into account, his own perspective on this. So yeah, David, let's hope it's better.
I hope so.
It is so low still.
How about now? Because I'm
The hair it's kind of, I think what happened is that the headset somehow, except if okay, then you might need to bring it closer. Sorry.
Does this work now?
That's perfect.
Okay, perfect.
More like it. Thanks, Baba. So how are you, David?
I'm good.
Great. And just to quickly run through this, okay? What is currently trending, which is what I started with, is all mostly about your work, which has led us to this state today. So initially we were looking forward to what Atiku is going to kind of unravel from the Chicago State University based on what the ongoing issue, right? Then this part of your own FOIA or FIOA request, something, right? Which is going to kind of like drop a bombshell, something even bigger. So people are wondering that with the ruling from the Presidential Election Petition Court or Tribunal, which seems not to be interested in looking at any evidence at all, using technicalities and all that. So do you think this is going to make any difference at all? Or what is this all about? If you can just shed more light on that or join.
So the first of all, I should state that the purpose of all of this isn't to get a judicial outcome in the Nigerian court. I think that ship has sailed.
Your voice still seems distant. I don't know if the microphone can just come down and come straight, like, I don't know, something like that.
How about now? Is that better?
I know it's ridiculous that you have to put your mouth so close. I don't know why, but somehow there's a technique that you can just
condenser mic. I don't know why it does this, but anyway, as I was saying,
it's better now.
So I should specify first of all that the point of this isn't to get a judicial outcome in Nigerian courts, because I think that ship has already sailed.
Right.
I don't think a Nigerian court is going to deliver justice. I think based on what we saw at the appeal courts, we know exactly where Nigerian judges stand and what Nigerian judges are capable of. So that ship has sailed. The point of this is twofold. First of all, this was a process that started even before the presidential election the tribunal took off, because this actually started in March when I first sent off this freedom of information requests. So myself, in conjunction with Aaron Greenspan of Plainsight, you might know of plainsight.org. It's a US organization that's basically, the purpose of Plainsight is to put public interest information into the public domain using FOIAs and strategic litigation. So in conjunction with Aaron, we had sent out these freedom of information requests to 6 US government agencies. That's the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI, the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA, the Drug Enforcement Administration, DEA, the Department of State, or the State Department as it's known, the US attorneys, and the IRS, that's the Internal Revenue Service. So basically, the idea was whatever information that these institutions hold about this person, whatever files that they maintain on him, since this person is now, this is now public information. This person is no longer a private citizen. This person at the time was a president-elect, so there's no longer any excuse for holding on to that information. Because last year, when I was researching him and all these other stories, the reason why I wasn't able to get hold of some of this other information was they said he was just a private citizen. Even if he's running an election, he's still a private citizen. He doesn't have a public office yet, so there's no justification to hand it over. But now, okay, he has supposedly won that election. This was in March, so hand over this information because now he's a public official. And initially, when they got back to us, I think in either late June or early July, the initial indication was no, we're not going to give you this information. And these quote unquote privacy concerns were still being invoked at the time, which obviously we disagreed with because why are you invoking privacy considerations for a head of state, for the president of a sovereign country? So in collaboration with Aaron, I took this matter to court. So obviously Aaron is based in the US, so he was better able to actually do the filing, while I pretty much funded the entire thing from start to finish, which was expensive. But the point of it, I didn't really think much was going to come out of it. But I thought, look, I feel like part of the reason why Nigerian public officials get away with these things is because not many people actually try hard enough to call them out on it or to dig deeply enough. That okay, this thing is going to cost me money. It's cost me close to $1,000 up to date, and the only reason it hasn't cost me more is because we were able to get a lawyer who actually worked on it pro bono. Because if we had to pay a lawyer, that would have been potentially even outside of my budget. We'd have been talking $20,000-$30,000, which is money I really don't have to spare. So fortunately, we were able to find a lawyer. And we basically sued these 6 organizations: the CIA, the FBI, the IRS, the DEA, the State Department, and the U.S. attorneys. And when they got back to us in July, what they said was this case potentially will not have any sort of resolution until potentially 2026. So that's the date that was bandied around at the time, 2026. But we still kept going anyway, even though we didn't really expect much to come of it yet. And then last Friday, I just come out of the shower. I'd been in the shower for a long time, and I looked at my phone, and it was a message from Aaron. And I was like, I have very good news. And I was like, what do you mean by that? And then he sent me this document, which everyone now has seen, this document which is now on the screen. And I scanned through it in like 30 seconds, and I was shocked that, wait, they're basically handing over all this information. Like, where did this come from? And he was like, well, I don't know either, but there's a possibility a lot of it might be redacted. But on the surface, it seems as if they've basically just decided to capitulate and hand everything over. We don't know why. We honestly don't know. I would love to take the credit for it, but the truth is we don't know why.
Right.
We weren't expecting this. This came out of nowhere. So
it means like it's going to be like a Pandora, like everybody's expecting. But at the same time, right? I haven't kind of experienced what Nigerians experience in the hands of the PEP, what we call them, right? So a lot of people feel like, what would this change? Like in the scheme of things, so to say, okay, is it just to establish some certain, I don't know, like what would this change in your own view? I understand that the intention at the time was just for research purpose. Now you're about to get something huge. Even yourself will have to be busy for a while once this information begins to roll out, right? But before now, everyone thought this kind of information would help in getting rid of this illegitimate guy, right, in Nigeria, among other things. But with what they experience, would this, do you think, like, there's still Supreme Court there, sure you get. So do you, like I asked you the last time, like, do you think this could change anything, or what would this change?
So I don't think the purpose of this is to change anything within the Nigerian judicial system, because I fully expect that the Supreme Court, which is presided over by Kayode Ariwola, will happily give a verdict stating that 2 + 2 is 95. Right? I completely expect that to happen. However, what this will achieve, if the information that we know for a fact is being held is actually released in full and is not distorted or redacted in such a way as to make it, unusable, if this information is put out into the public domain, what it will do is that, first of all, it will once and for all establish factually that these things which we have known, which we have proven, and which we have published for a certain amount of time now, that these things are in fact true, and that there is no, like, every sort of burden of proof has been satisfied, right? Because up until this point, it's been, the excuse has been, oh well, there was just a forfeiture, there wasn't really a, a conventional conviction, blah blah blah. The some so and so and so, one excuse after the other. But when you have the FBI releasing 2,500 pages on one individual, bear in mind that Pablo Escobar, his FBI file had about 2,600 pages in it. Pablo Escobar himself had 2,600 pages. Malcolm X had about 2,400 pages. So what on earth do they have on this guy that makes them have 2,500 pages on him? And bear in mind, that's just the FBI, right? The other agencies also have their own information on him. The IRS, the CIA, DEA, the State Department, So, and they are complying with the FY as well. So what this will do is it will once and for all establish that this person is exactly what we said he is, first of all, and more importantly,
because
any sort of
because of our time, because I still have like about 2 ones I wanted to cover, and if okay, hang on, does that still stand that you need to leave like in about 6 minutes?
I think I can do like another 15,
extra 10 minutes just into it, and then we can into it. Is that all right? Yeah. I'm sorry that a lot of people want to listen to you, right? They will feel like I'm going to be leading you, but they won't understand the fact that I'm struggling to make sure that nothing is left out. So if you give us that grace, right? Now I'm going to just push this to you, okay? This issue of election and tribunal has further exposed, right, the vulnerability, partly the corrupt side of the Nigerian judiciary, and it has also exposed the validity or sort of the power of Nigeria constitution for real in practice, apart from all the fancy words they put in it, right? That if you have to put Nigeria constitution for real, so this judgment that happened and the way it all went is, further kind of proof that this 1999 constitution is going to continue to be the albatross, and is going to continue to be the one that will be cementing every corrupt process, no matter any effort to changing them. So what do you think, as somebody who is more vast in all of this? There are conversations now around a constitutional conference, a national sovereign conference, a conversation around Nigeria, starting with the people of Abuja that are also demanding judicial explanation on why the constitution says they are this, and then the tribunal turned it around and said, no, you are not. Question around the constitution. Do you what would be your own view around that? Do you think this is actually going to lead to that now?
So it's difficult to say, because one thing that this tribunal showed me was one of the most basic principles in law, in jurisprudence, is precedent, right? Judges love precedent. So ideally, when legal precedent has been established, judges tend to follow precedents, and it's very rare for judges to completely break with precedents and basically overturn something that a judgment that had been delivered before. But in the course of this tribunal at the appeal court, we didn't see that once, twice, three. We saw it like 50 times, like completely unprecedented stuff. So my fear is that anybody who is trying to use these things as precedents, right? For example, the Abuja indigents, who are now demanding for a governor and for senators, since they are supposedly classified as any other states in Nigeria now, I fear that what they will find is that they will take this matter to a court, and the court will say that, yes, the appeal court said that 2 plus 2 is 9, and the appeal court created a precedent that 2 plus 2 is 9, but this court is still going to rule that 2 plus 2 is 4 for no reason, and there's nothing you can do about it. If I know Nigeria very well, I think that's what they would do, which is why I've been very vocal about the idea that Nigerians themselves need to stand up and do something. Because at this point, the people who are in charge of Nigeria are not pretending to be law-abiding. They're not pretending to care about abiding by any constitution or any law or any legality. They are not pretending. The people who are ruling Nigeria are actively raising a middle finger to you and telling you what are you going to do about it. So I think at this point, the people themselves need to prove a point. However that point is going to be proven, it's not for me to prescribe. The people themselves have to make that decision. But the point is that the judicial system, as we know it now, is completely unfit for purpose. Nigeria, as we know it now, doesn't have a judiciary. That's the problem. So whatever the appeal court has done, I fear that it's going to be irrelevant in the larger scheme of things, because I feel like the judiciary doesn't even respect itself enough to even acknowledge that, okay, certain precedent has been set. I think Nigerian judges are completely shameless people who will say this thing tomorrow, say something completely contradictory the day after, and then they will look in your eye and tell you, I didn't say it. Right? You show them video evidence that they said it, and they'll say it's a lie, you doctored the video. That's who they strike me as, completely shame-free entities. So at this point, I don't consider Nigeria to be a country that has a judiciary, that has judges or justices. I don't consider Nigeria to be a country that has a justice system. So I think the people themselves at this point need to be forcefully making a point that you cannot treat us like cattle. You cannot treat us as if you cannot insult our intelligence, because that was my main takeaway from the PEPT, that the very basic intelligence of allegedly 200 million Nigerians does not even matter to these people. These people will insult you to your face. They will tell you that you are stupid and there's nothing you can do about it. So I think from a Nigerian point of view, Nigerians should be basically the ones making that decision now. That is that characterization of us accurate? Are we actually stupid, or can we do better? It's up to Nigerians.
We invested a lot, right? Apart from money, you invested what I believe your own freedom in bringing to the attention of a lot of Nigerians. And you are highly respected for that. And at the same time, you are highly loathed for that as well. For those who feel like you will do all of this for nothing, it's just, you won't be the first. In fact, the Legiwa, we have all of these people. And a lot of them are actually wishing what happened to those people to happen to you, so as for you to stop wasting your time. So, as an advocate, somebody who knew Nigerian system so much, and for time, and all those investments I just mentioned now, okay? As an advocate of what I would say, maybe due process, all right, which led to election participation and all of that. And after all of this, some people are saying that Nigerians shouldn't even have participated in the election in the first place. Others are saying they wouldn't have found out if they didn't, because they would still have done what they would do anyway. Then others are saying that the moment they are making those false announcements, after all that happened, that was the moment the real people who actually indeed wanted these guys out should have hit the streets. They didn't, all right? Then they waited, still following the due process. They waited on the judiciary to possibly set the record straight. Now, the same judiciary, partly right now, has sort of given them a middle finger as well. So don't you think it is already too late to start fighting the cheating after participating so fully to this point? Others as well, just before, as an add-on, there are others that are saying the people should, in fact, get ready for another election in 2027. If the court is gone, if the electoral process is gone, don't you think it is actually so late now to want to now fight what should have been fought at the infancy, like when it all started? Your view, David?
Well, so first of all, I think participation in the election itself, I think it needed to happen, because I think the people who run Nigeria, they're very good at setting narratives internationally. If young people had not participated in that election and they had just gone on, a rampage, on a protest or whatever, the people who are in charge would have found a way to frame it to the world as if there is this small group of people in Nigeria who are just anarchists. Because that's how they almost successfully framed NSARS. They framed it like it was a small group of anarchists who were trying to start some kind of color revolution and take over the country for no reason. Meanwhile, that's not what it was. It was a very broad-based, general youth protest movement. So when dealing with these people, it's very important to know how to sort of play the game as well. So there are certain processes that even if the end result of the process, we know what it's going to be. Even if obviously you win the election, they are not going to give it to you. You still have to go through that process, because if you don't, then they will turn it onto your head. Then they will make it look like, you see, there is an electoral process, there's a democratic process. Why couldn't you just follow the democratic process? They will gaslight you basically, and in front of the world, they will twist the whole narrative and make it look like you are the aggressor. So it's very important to have to actually go through that process. That okay, you should do a political movement, Abi. We've done a political movement. We should compete in the election, Abi. We competed. We should win the election, Abi. We won. If we didn't feel satisfied, we should go to court, Abi, which is the due process thing. We've gone to court. And now that we have exhausted all those things that the system supposedly has put in place for us to achieve what we want, we have now demonstrated to the world without any shred of doubt that the system doesn't intend to reform itself, and it's not actually possible to change the system from within. At that point, when people now hit the streets and basically scatter everything, you cannot tell them anything again. You can't tell them there's something they should have done. Because bear in mind, all of this started with NSARS, right? And at the end of NSARS, that was the Jedi mind trick that they used to gaslight everybody. They said, you should never have gone onto the streets. You should never have protested, blocked a road. Why did you do that? That does not achieve anything. Go and queue up behind the candidates. You people have numbers. Go and form yourself into political movements and go and elect leaders who will listen to you. That was obviously, they knew very well they had no intention of actually letting such a thing happen. They were just talking rubbish, as they always do, to try and make you feel like, somehow whatever happened was your fault. And the Lekki massacre was your fault. There's a way you could have avoided it. That was what the point of all that stupid talk was. But obviously, without actually going through this process, we wouldn't have been able to prove that that's what they were trying to do, that they were just talking stupid talk. Now there's evidence. Now there's proof. Now you can't tell these young people anything, because they've seen with their own two eyes. Nigeria has never had this level of voter registration before and voter participation before. And the way the system retaliated, first of all, did its best to disenfranchise as many people as possible. Make sure people didn't get their PVCs, or PVCs were showing up inside forests, inside gutter, buried, all sorts of rubbish. And then on the day, they were shifting people's polling units like kilometers away, where they know people won't have any chance to vote. All sorts of things. In spite of all of that, you still lost by a landslide. And then the so-called live electronic transmission, you turned it off for the presidential election. So at every step of the way, the people did what they were supposed to do. And the system, as far as I'm concerned, the system exposed itself. Because one thing about Nigeria that I've noticed that was small is that Nigeria will do horrible things to you, but will leave just enough of a space to give itself plausible deniability, so that you'll be accusing it and it will deny. Whoever is in power will deny. They will say it's a lie. It's not true. But for the first time, this election made it such that the people in power actually exposed themselves fully, where it's not in doubt who won that election and who was nowhere close to winning it. And then we saw things we've not seen before. We saw people, using TPEX on result sheets. And all of this was captured in real time. There's dozens and thousands of pages of evidence which was documented in real time. So as far as I'm concerned, the real court wasn't the one that so-called Justice Samani was presiding over. The real court was that of public opinion, because people were watching what was happening in real time. The reason I say that is important is because the next time that there is any kind of spark or stimulus for young Nigerians to hit the street, we don't know what it will be. We don't know when it will be. Just like we didn't see NSARS coming, we don't know when it will be. What we do know is that it will come. When it comes, at that point, there's nothing that you are going to tell those young people. If you threaten them with weapons, well, you shot them before. They don't care. They'll be expecting to die already. You cannot tell them, oh, why didn't you go and vote? Because they went to vote. And you disenfranchised them, and then you stole their results. There's nothing you want to tell them again. So that's why I said it was very important to go through this process. So now that we've gone through this process, the system, as far as I'm concerned, the people who are in charge, they might be celebrating because they think they won a victory, but it's the kind of victory that I call a Pyrrhic victory, because it's a victory that in itself ensures that the seeds for your eventual loss have been planted. Whether they realize that or not is a different issue. But,
now, a final one, okay, just before you go, okay, David, having experienced all of this now, a lot of Nigerians, across all ethnic, religious, tribal, what have you, decided they were baited. That's the word I use on this platform. They were baited, believed to make, they were made to believe that it was going to be different this time around. Now, it's going to be a bit difficult to get to then kind of maybe a year or two from now, begin to preach to them again that, oh, it is also possible now. Let's do it again. When the same system, the same rotten system that ensured that, they fostered disenfranchisement, like you put it, right? And what happened? Which, unfortunately, when all these things happen, right, unfortunately, it further divide Nigerians. It was like an avenue to further divide Nigerians among those who said, we have told you, we saw this coming. How could you not? And then to those who are like, we don't care. You either take it or you leave it. So, David, using your own position among the young people, even among the older generation, would you not kind of subscribe to an idea where every one of us uses our platform to encourage a change in that system, starting with that fraudulent constitution, before any election again, rather than get so boxed to the corner until another time presents itself that everybody will just be like, no, you can't do anything. You just have to go through it again. I mean, what do you think?
I agree. I completely agree. However, as I said, before getting to this point, we had to exhaust all the opportunities for the system to gaslight us first. So now, at this point, if anyone is pushing for a constitutional conference or for even more extreme solutions than a constitutional conference, I'm sure you know what I'm referring to. At this point, you cannot tell such people anything. You can't tell them that they're wrong, right? But it was important that we had to go through all of that first. Before now, at this point, I completely agree. Every potential solution beyond what has been tried is on the table now.
This system has to change before anybody is forced to go and participate in another charade, which is their trade. They are already planning towards next election anyway. You know that.
Exactly.
So why should anybody be part of that?
And why on earth would an election which is being administered by Bola Tinubu
predetermined
go against the interests of Bola Tinubu? That's ridiculous. We went through the same thing in 2019, where after people deceived themselves, oh, we'll vote him out if he doesn't perform well. Buhari told you point blank, I'm not going to lose that election. Now, between God and man, I don't think anybody actually believes that Buhari actually won that election in 2019, but we know how it went. So 2027 isn't going to be any different, which is why I'm not interested in hearing anything about 2027. As I said, it was important to go through what we went through in 2023, so that now at this point, any solution that is proposed beyond what has already been tried is on the table, right? Up to and including the ones from the people that we don't even like, right? The people who talk about Biafra and all these things. Those solutions are on the table now.
You know where I'm going. You know where I'm going, because there are those who are now pretty much like, what happened to your PVC now? And people like who invested a lot in educating the people and encourage them to actually participate. It's not just working to get people to participate. People actually participated. After all of that, those who rejected and said they will have predetermined the whole thing, like they are now pretty much like, that's why we never participated. That's why I asked that, won't it make much sense now for everybody to now kind of agree now that even if you want to have Biafra, Yoruba nation and the rest of that, this particular system has to go first. And we cannot drop all the pretense and the division, right? And address the main thing where we can say, okay, you know what? David.
At this point, I mean, as I said, every solution is on the table because the Nigerian system has given such people the right to propose such solutions, right? So at this point, you can no longer accuse people of being Confucianists, of being anarchists, of being, criminals and separatists. You can't accuse people of anything anymore because people have gone through the prescribed system now. The only part of the system that hasn't been tried yet is the Supreme Court, and we already know what's going to happen in the Supreme Court. So, at least for the sake of optics, we'll go through that Supreme Court process as well. And when the system does the only thing it knows how to do and makes a mockery of the Supreme Court as well, at that point, whoever it is that is proposing any solution above and beyond all the ones that we have tried within the current system, you cannot tell them anything. I will never get up and talk down on anybody who proposes any of those solutions again, because at that point it should have been clear that the system has reached its limits. This is as far as you can go within the system. This is as far as the system will allow. So if you want to have a better life than this, you need to break out of the system. It's as simple as that. So except the system decides to wake up and smell the coffee and realize that this is unsustainable and it has to give concessions, which it's not going to, because it's not in Tinubu's nature. Tinubu is like a rat. All he knows how to do is eat. He doesn't understand the concept of taking note of other people and concessions. He doesn't. All he knows is power. It's eat.
Whatever
so when
not do, more money will do it.
Exactly. So when they inevitably do what they're going to do with the Kayode Supreme Court, at that point, anybody at all,
all options is now on the table.
Be it the Constitutional Conference people, be it the NINAS people, be it the IPOB people, be it the Oduduwa Republic people, be it the Middle Belt, whatever it is, every solution is going to be on the table. And no one will be able to blame anybody but the system itself for having created this. Because, by the way, Nigeria is not the first country where such things will happen. No. After the system makes a mess of itself in the way it has done. Like this, Sudan did very similar things. We know how the story ended for them, how it still ended for them, right? The country formerly known as Yugoslavia did similar things. We know how it ended for them, and how it's still ending for them. So unfortunately, it's up to the Nigerian system itself. It's not me, it's not you who is going to make any of this happen. It's the Nigerian system itself, as far as I'm concerned, that is making all of this happen. So the biggest influencer, the biggest advertiser, the biggest motivator of all these solutions that are going to come out of this is the Nigerian system itself. It's not the people who are talking about it. It's the Nigerian system itself. So that's where we're at.
Make those changes. Right, David. I wish we have longer time. Okay, thank you so much. This actually is impromptu. I kind of ambushed you midway, so I'm going to let you go, and I will have another time with you as this whole thing unravels. Okay, you have a wonderful night, Baba. Thank you.
All right,
nice one, Baba. So that's David, and the brief explanation is managed to make with us tonight. I hope a lot of us who kind of participated in that, you have kept what you think you should keep, right? From all of that, loaded. I'll cut that out at some point and then put that out there. Now, let us continue. I was talking to you about Ogun State, remember? But before then, talking about the judiciary, just to back up what David just said and how much they're like, you know what? It's about precedent. It's about them just making sure they legalize the legality and then see what will happen after that, right? Same with the Labour Party chairman, Abure, a few days ago.
Labour Party members, the obedient movement, for their immense support towards the Labour Party. First, out of their support for the party, we have in our Akitin today a governor, we have 35 House of Rep members, and we have 8 distinguished senators and several House of Assembly members spread across the state. Our participation in the 2023 general election no doubt changed the political landscape in the country. All these achievements of the Labour Party could not have been achieved were it not for the support of members of the public, the obedient movement, and well right-thinking Nigerians who genuinely wanted change for the country. I'm indeed very appreciative of their efforts, of their contributions, financial, their moral support, and they are coming out to even vote for the party in the presidential election, which we believe that we won. Irrespective of whatever the tribunal has said, I want to admonish and appeal to our people that we should not be daunted at all. Nelson Mandela, in his book, A Long Walk to Freedom, said, and I quote, that every step we take leads us to our freedom. Today, in the words of Mandela, I tell our people that every step that we take leads us to the taking back our country, to the taking over, to the taking back of Nigeria. Even the judgment itself, that is not even in our favor, is also a step towards reclaiming our country. It's a step towards making Nigeria to work. I'm therefore admonishing all our supporters not to be discouraged at all. We are preparing our papers. We are definitely going to move from here to the Supreme Court. We have protested, and they said, don't protest, go to court. We are in court. All eyes are in the judiciary. For us, as a party, we are going to sustain this momentum. We also call on all our supporters to sustain this momentum, to take over a country and to reposition it for greatness is not an easy task. But I'm happy that we have started, we have put our hands on the plow, and will definitely not look back. I'm therefore admonishing our supporters to remain committed to the party, to remain committed to the movement.
Labour and the rest of that. Also, Akin Oshun Tokun, who happened to be Peter Obi's campaign director or campaign chairman or thereabout, also had this to say concerning the judgment too. Just an add-on as a full backup to that conversation with David, talking about judiciary.
That is not correct. As a matter of fact, the intention to appeal the judgment was made immediately after the session. Not even a day after. So that is the case. Now, I don't want to take issues with the judges as such, because many of the things they were saying, were counterfactual. In other words, they say things that is not correct, that is inconsistent with the truth. My view of it all is that we're in a systemic crisis, and we are coming to terms with the implication of Nigeria as a failed state, on which all organs of government, are being equally affected by the virus or pathogen of corruption and lack of discipline and so on. People were raising the issue that our supporters were intimidating the judiciary. First, of course, is that many of those people doing the intimidation had no connection with us. We did not give anybody directive to go and indulge in intimidation of the judiciary. But the more pertinent question is whether the judges themselves of the Court of Appeal, whether they did not deserve to be intimidated, whether there was no reason to question, not to take their integrity or the integrity of their judgment for granted. And of course, I have no more, the evidence or what I'm saying, or the supporting logic was provided by none other than the former President Court of Appeal, whose husband, Senator Adamu Bukachua, told everybody, to the hearing of all Nigerians and the international community, that he was in the habit of influencing the decisions and judgments of his wife, in relation to his colleagues at the Senate chambers. Well, if you could do that, if you can say, no, if your spouse, I mean, there is no greater authentic evidence you can get than a spouse who is saying this is what we do. Right? So who are we to not to take that into cognizance? And if that is the truth, will you take it for granted that the judges so affected in this court of appeal take it for granted that, look, they will do what is correct. They will act, without prejudice. Well, unfortunately, their former president, the former president of the Court of Appeal, she just resigned, she just left a few months ago, right? Had given us an indication as to the conduct or the behavior of the court under her. But for that matter, even the president himself did accept that the judiciary is corrupt. From what he said in a statement that, look, do you expect your judges to live in squalor and not be corrupt? So allegations of corruption levied against the judiciary, directly or indirectly, they have very square legs to stand upon. So you may question the tactics of President Buhari, but when he sent security forces to barge into the houses of Supreme Court judges some years ago, they uncovered, tons of money, different currencies. So there is no basis for this unmerited righteous indignation to say that you are angry, as if there is no justification for people taking that position against you. But as I said, more importantly is that the implication of Nigeria as a failed state, as a country that tops the charts of full transparency, international index of corruption, the implication of that is that you don't expect anybody, if a country tops regularly the table of the most corrupt country in the world, why should you not accept?
This is me taking you to Ogun State. The story of 3 friends. According to the historians, 3 good friends decided to go into politics of enslaving their people, and the 3 of them have succeeded. The one in the middle was the first to go. That is OGD, Ogidiomoole. I usually call him Benga Bewiri Daniel. He happened to be the former governor of my state. So please, it is very personal to me. In case if you are watching me and you begin to feel like, Maiyegun, and he's a great man, no, family house, sure you understand. He's a former criminal that ruled my state as a governor. Then, after the one on the left, Irokunle Omoamoshi, who conspired against his own kinsman, Oshoba, to bring the one in the middle, with the agreement that the one in the middle will spend 1 term, 4 years, and he will hand over to him. So he would then be governor. Some people said, the one in the blue kaftan, Dubious Dapo, who happened to also be one of the oil thieves in Nigeria. So the 3 of them, they decided that they were going to go and enslave the Ogun State people. And they succeeded. So the first one, Benga Bewiri Daniel, when he came with his own abracadabra with his wife, Yeye Funke, the poor people of Ogun State, they embraced them. They embraced their damnation. Then at the twilight of his own governance, Ibikunle Omoamoshi, tí à ń pè ní Irokunle Omoamoshi, decided to wage political war against Bewiri Daniel. It was massive, bloody, and destructive as well. Demolition here, confiscation there. Benga stole money here, and you know what I mean? However, Irokunle Omamoshi became governor, succeeded his old friend, Bewiri Daniel. Now, Ogidiomo Ole became politically irrelevant in Ogun State from that moment. He was disgraced. It was hell. Seriously. That was the mission of his old friend, Irokunle Omamoshi. Meanwhile, they said at a point, Irokunle Omamoshi met with dubious Dapo. Iyen Dapo Abiodun. And the agreement then was, dubious Dapo, will sponsor and fund Amoshi's election to some extent. In fact, he bragged at a point that he gave Amoshi $1.5 million for his re-election in 2015, with the promise that Dapo will be senator in 2015. So by 2019, Dapo will be governor and Amoshi will hand over to him. But towards the end of Amoshi's term as well, trailer passed their midst. The two jolly good friends, they became sworn political enemies. Tinubu came in to, they kind of played Amoshi out in APC, and dubious Dapo became the governorship candidate of APC. With the help of the rigging here, the bribery there, and a sprinkle of poverty that has become generational in Ogun State, dubious Dapo became their governor. It didn't take long before they started screaming. Of course, for every of these criminals that has managed to be in charge of Ogun State, in my lifetime, they've all had praise singers, vuvuzelas, born political ushers, political jobbers, who always are willing and ready with a little money to lick the asses of these criminals. When they are done ransacking the state, the people of the state are left in squalor. Poverty is like, if you want to see poverty, go to Ogun State. Somebody sent me a video, and a video of people of Ibadan that were robbing, they were robbing a truck. Removal of subsidy, you haven't been to Ogun State, Abi? Èmi ló kàn, Yoruba ló kàn. I remember coming on this program repeatedly telling you that when they said Èmi ló kàn, you, because you are Yoruba, you are also joining them. Yoruba ló kàn, Yoruba ló kàn. Now, a lot of you will find out that when they said Èmi ló kàn, they are referring to themselves, their family members. They are not referring to you. When Benga Daniel was leaving power, he sold all the government properties at a cheaper price after using government's money to renovate them. Gateway hotels, gateway this, gateway that, choice lands, judges' quarters. You know, they had lands. They say, oh, this land is for judges. This land is for medical clinical. This land is for school. Benga Daniel sold all of them to his friends at a cheaper price. When Irokunle Omamoshi came in, you know what he did? He decided to start taking them back. All right? Those ones that are landed property, he took them back and he kind of awarded them to himself, his wife, and his own family members, as well as his political loyalists too. That means he took it from Benga that stole them, gave them to himself. When it comes to the other investment that are supposed to be earning money for Ogun State, Gateway Hotels, this and that, Irokunle Omamoshi locked them down. No earning for Ogun State, loss at loss, no repair or maintenance. It was just there wasting away. And some of the other things, Benga took government land beside the government house. Because it's governor, he took government land beside government house and he started building the skyscraper hotel. It's going to be the tallest hotel in Abeokuta. And it was a government land. He changed the old documentation, just like Tinubu has been doing in Lagos. All the things Tinubu got away with in Lagos, Benga Daniel couldn't get away with all of them. So then Irokunle Omamoshi came, like I said, did exactly what Benga Daniel did. All right? And Dubious Dapo came. He is now an emperor too. Evo leva gbao agbani. But surprisingly, it was between Dapo, Dubious Dapo, and what do you call it? An Amoshi, that were having issue politically. We didn't know. Because when Dubious Dapo started sharing, the moment he became governor, all right, it was just like that to Amosun. Waka, fuck off, weary. I am the governor now. So he is now the new emperor who have to give people their source of living, including Benga Daniel. They gave him a senatorial ticket to go and represent, guess where? My senatorial district of Ijebu, Ogun East senatorial district, courtesy of just something to revive him. I didn't know that something has happened between them, because when Dubious Dapo came in, some of the properties that Irokunle Omamoshi took from Benga Daniel, Dubious Dapo returned them to him. You see that hotel they were building for 8 years, they abandoned it next to the Okemoson Secretariat. A lot of you who live here or who frequent Abeokuta, you will know this building I'm talking about. Benga Daniel's building there. Immediately Dubious Dapo came in 2019. He released the property back to the Daniel. And they started construction on it. I think it's one of those properties released as well in Ijebu, where Benga Daniel's wife was building, or she built, in fact, not building, built a shopping mall, 5-story building shopping mall in a very small piece of land. Waiting can't change, because 4 years ago, this was Benga Daniel.
They are all united in the fact that what is going on in the state today is not sustainable. And they are all united. I mean, look at all the people who want to be governor, that you are the best person for this job. For the purpose of people looking at me, I want to see that what we are doing today is not about party. There comes a time in the minds and lives of the people that they must stand up, notwithstanding their personal interests or party.
Here you guys. So Benga Daniel is always considered as a don. It's got that horror. Baba, if you live long, your heroes go be villain. Oh. A lot of us who later come to see what Tinubu represents 24 years ago, these guys, we saw them as pro-democracy, like, great men, great men with vision. You know what I mean? You wanted to be like them. You were like, look at Benga Daniel, Do you understand? So, but it will be later that people are like, Oh, but what ti gba wa o, o gba wa gan. Mumu everybody for long. That is why they don't want to take it anymore. In case if you don't know, that same Benga Daniel threatened to arrest me. For those who know Maiyegun very well, before all of you can't know Maiyegun now, when it comes to Ogun State politics, I am a walking encyclopedia. There was a time that if I'm sleeping and you want to know something about what is going on in Ogun State, the government, the politics, the parties, the people, areas here and there, if you tap me and ask your question, I'll tell you. Until I decided to kind of widen it to what all of you now know today. I know these guys so well. Until when we realize what they represent, what they stand for. They stand for the further subjugation and impoveration of their people. Every given opportunity, they deserve no respect. Gbenga Adeboye said, until we put a panel, a lot of people that we used to kind of pray for, it was during Oputa panel when they all of them started coming out to come and confess to what they did under Abacha, that the whole Nigeria were shocked. Like, this one an animal, this one. Meanwhile, probably if Gbenga Adeboye is alive today, it would be more shock that it may not. I mean, it would have released series of what do you call it? Of bombastic what do you call documents and all that on these guys. I'm talking about expose per se. Because back then it was like these evil people. So you did all this evil against Nigeria. So now look at. So if we didn't know this will put a panel, all these people will come out and contest election and still be leaders again. But Gbenga Adeboye didn't live long to come and see what Nigeria has become and the criminals that are running that Nigeria today. He probably will be crying in his grave like, oh my God. So I didn't see anything. So I don't know what happened between them. Until we started hearing the screaming in the middle of the night. They are demolishing house. Kilo happen. They said that a dubious darkball, 3 a.m. in the morning, with over 200 policemen, they invaded the sites of Gbenga Daniel's wife's plaza, and they started the demolition. I'll show you.
Developer for the building revealed that the demolition of the 5-story building located at Foligbad Street, Ijebu-Ode, was carried out at 3 a.m. on Sunday. Mr. Lawal said that the building, which had been under construction since 2009, had the full approval from the state government and was scheduled for commissioning by the end of September before the demolition, adding that the building had no structural or quality issues. He disclosed that the third floor of the now demolished building was to house the Ogun East Senatorial Office. The demolition comes as rumors proliferate about a raging rift between the incumbent governor and former Governor Daniel, now Senator for Ogun East.
So Gbenga was there. I'll show you that one.
You want video?
You see that guy shouting, Otajeni man you, Otajeni man you. Everybody hailing him in that place. Then they do their own job, Neo. Nobody say they really care about Ile or anything. No. The OGD that just came there, if now 1,000 naira, at the end of the day, they go cut. But it's a case of the strongest we have to ride the weak. All those out man, you Eleyi still what Eleyi is doing, all those things are just show sympathy. Show of sympathy that is kind of conditional. They're not saying go give them money. That's why his own voice is the loudest. So when they give them money, he will tell them, I'm the one who has been shouting, Eleyi, how can you give me 2,000 naira? Me that I've been shouting for 2, Because the reason why I said that is, don't let that move you. Because the man they call Otaje, he visited them and it's a different reaction. So you will get what I mean now, right? When Dubious Dapo visited the place, he said, listen, everybody listen. Benga Daniel and his wife should be responsible. They are not above the law. They shouldn't be above the law. They should be responsible. And everybody standing behind him, where they were like, yes, sir, it's true, sir. Because he himself go drop money. Benga Daniel that they want to demolish his wife's plaza. And they are there sympathizing with him. He will drop money. The man they are called, this our governor. Otaji, our governor is the enemy of progress. So our governor is the enemy of progress. So those people saying the same thing. When the governor arrived, they were telling him that he did the right thing. Yeah, yes, sir. Abi is Benga Daniel above the law? No. Because himself go drop money. Situation of Nigeria. So when anybody tell you say they're in a relationship with you in Nigeria, a lot of you don't know that you are not in any relationship, you are in situationship. Nigerians are not in relationship with their oppressors. They are in a situationship with their oppressors. And it is so unfortunate that they are the losers. Well, see if I am wrong. Dubious Dapo. Kilo resources.
I held a press conference and I said, we will not allow for this to happen in the state. If you build without approval, if you build beyond your approval, if you don't build in line with our regulations, that building will come down. Now, let's go to this that came. First, I can assure you that our physical planning team do not have the responsibility of unmasking who the owner of a company is. It is beyond their calling or their mandate. As far as they know, a company called Datskem had applied for approval to erect a 5-story building. That approval was filed in 2009, way beyond our administration. But sometime in 2022, a contravention notice was sent to the owners of Datskem, regardless of who they are. Nobody cares. You don't have to. In Ogun State and in Nigeria, we don't have a set of laws for the common man and for the VIP. That's not the way it works. There's one law for everybody. Nobody's above the law. And the law is not a respecter of VVIPs or VIPs. So they sent a contravention notice to Datkem, regardless of who the owner of Datkem was, which was not their priority. After they sent that contravention notice in May 2022, they sent a stop order notice to Datkem saying, you are in contravention. Stop working on this project until you come and correct these contraventions. They followed that stop order with another stop order. Again, they sent 3 stop orders. They sent a violation order. They sealed the premises. The owners of Datkem, in their minds, must have felt that they were above the law because they were totally recalcitrant. It's marks of impunity. If the Ministry of Fiscal Planning sends you a contravention order, sends you a stop order, sends you a seal order, and you continue with the construction in violation of the safety of all of us in Ogun State. They send you a demolition order. You still did not respond. You begin to sneak into the building at night. You begin to walk there. You begin to attempt to grease palms so that they can overlook your contravention. But of course, the day of reckoning will always come. I want to salute the courage of the men and women of the Ministry of Fiscal Planning. After they had followed all this process, I understand that the owners of Datkem now instructed their lawyers to go to court. Instructing your lawyers to go to court and filing an action does not interpret to a stop order on government. Anybody can file an action at any point in time. The action will even be an action that has no merit. That will be up to the court to decide. When and if the court decides that, then you cannot say you are enforcing such action. So you file an action to stop government from carrying out its primary responsibilities. Of course, the law took its course. They went there after several attempts to stop this impunity. Without really, I couldn't care less. The truth is that properties are demolished every day by the ministry. And there's no song and dance about those demolitions. Just because this property purportedly belongs to someone who now say belongs to his wife. Now they begin to misrepresent that, oh, our government is doing this, government is doing that.
Sorry, Dako. Sorry. Mabino Okomi. Joe. Benga Daniel has now turned to the cause. The properties allegedly to belong to somebody who now knows somebody that belongs to his wife. Now, Benga Daniel be somebody that belongs to somebody that is belong to his wife. Agbára Ọlọ́run tó gùn bá ń jẹ́ tọlọ́run, ìjà yóò ní parí o. Fọ́dà tí ara yín dáadáa, tí bẹ́ bá ṣe lè tí ara yín sí. And I hope, nǹkan tó kọ̀ sí ìjà yín, will further probably help those who have held in bondage in Ogun State. You need to go to Ogun State. And that's why sometimes you just feel like, where person could start from self. Like, when criminals like this are leaders and they have people because of what they get from them, they are walking up and down in squalor, in poverty. They can see them left, right, and center. They can see all the underdevelopment and all of that. And they are telling themselves, you see, when I was in Nigeria, before I understood these guys very well, right? People, it was like a cartel. The purpose is just get the money, share the money, but pretend that you are doing something so that people will think you are doing something. Bring katakata and say you want to come and give them new road, or you want to give them new medical center and the rest. Just keep doing that, but share the money. And there were people that were actually there that were praising, thank you so much, on radio, on Noji TV, any small thing. let us say thank you to our Gomino Gbenga Daniel. They have given the people of Aramoko, they have given the people of Abeokuta South to their own paracetamol supply today. Let us say thank you. Let us say thank you to the wife of our governor, our first lady, Yeye Olufunke Daniel. They gave poor people wheelchair. They gave poor people food, and they also gave them glasses. They also checked their BP. Let us say thank you. Since the emergence of democracy, our people have never enjoyed. Thank you, Ogagbenga. Every day, when it was the turn of Irokunle Omamushi, there is no governor like Omamushi. The level he has turned Ogun State. Omo, you need to go to Ogun State. They have turned Ogun State, blah, 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 blah. They even built an estate for Bokwari in Abeokuta. They call it a Muhammadu Bokwari estate in Abeokuta. Okay? Just to show, Omo, if you see, there is no governor like Amos. Honestly, I swear. Meanwhile, they are suffering. They are living in squalor. The local government resources are being shared. They don't even see them. These guys are working on, I don't know how to describe it. I'm talking about working poverty, working on the underdevelopment. It can't be less than the under cost. Do you understand? Like it's like Ogun people or my people are actually like cursed with poverty. They glorify it. They appreciate it. Baba? And I was just there like, shut up your mouth. Who you help? Who you help? Do you know how many people that gave job to Oni? The job of extortion, extorting people and sharing the money. So when Ibekunle Omamushi and the political abracadabra that happened at the time, the people that were saying there was never any governor like Amushi, then they said, Amushi is the worst governor, because they were looking forward to dubious Dapo. Now, after 4 years, a lot of them are already saying dubious Dapo is the worst thing to happen to Ogun State. Meanwhile, there are others that are saying dubious Dapo is the best thing that happened to Ogun State. Baba, just go to Ogun State. I am from Ogun State, ladies and gentlemen. All right? If I put it on there right now, in fact, I'm going to do that. A quick one. If you put Ogun State on Google Earth, and then you decide to look at Ogun State from the satellite, all right? I'll show you. 24 years of democracy. Go everywhere. Go and see those local government areas. Go and see the health centers. Go and see their inner road. Baba, you go to say na curse this democracy is. In fact, it is actually a curse, this democracy. And there are those who are very rich. Gbenga Daniel is very rich for stealing Ogun State money. Irokunle Omamushi. He built this massive house and he built underground under that same house in Abeokuta. And it was constructed by Julius Baja. Can you believe that? I mean, constructed by an international construction company. All at the mercy of Ogun State people. It was the same Amushi that decided to give hand over 1,400 AK-47 guns to the commissioner of police in Ogun State, because the man that he wanted to be the next governor of Ogun State didn't become governor. He says his former friend, political enemy, Dubious Dakpo, was going to be the governor, and he didn't want Dubious Dakpo to have access to those guns. So just 2-3 days before the handing over, Irokunle Omamushi called and these were guns, they purchased for election. Sure you get? Irokunle Omamushi called the commissioner of police to come to our Okemoson. To come and do what? Excellency, I have a gift for you. Guess what the gift was? 1,400 AK-47 guns with 30 million rounds of ammunition. Listen to me, this is not like, kilo wi Maiyegun. 20 million rounds of ammunition. That's a bullet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The number of bullets almost handed over to the police in Ogun State. Baba, is more than the population of the people of Ogun State. The total population of Ogun State is put at somewhere around 6 million. All right. The number of bullets that the governor of Ogun State, that is the one they use, the one that is left, the ones that they don't know where to give to, and they don't want them to end up in the hand of this new emperor Dakpo. He gave that 20 million round of ammunition. I'll now show you Ogun State. There are some of these paid Olori Burukus on social media. After they've given them stipend to sing the praises of these criminals, living in poverty and glorifying it. All right? Now, this is my search for them. Just say Ogun State. And you can see, check the satellite from the, see it from the, what do you call it? Wait for it to. Now, one moment. So once you begin to go down and begin to say, okay, let's see Ogun State from the satellite. The states where Obafemi Awolowo, the man that remain the sage in the history of Yoruba land. The state that it comes from, right? Now, when you zoom closer, you begin to see enough of what I have been telling you. Okay? You begin to see the sparse land. You begin to wonder, are those tar roads? They are not tar roads. They are mostly underdeveloped, inaccessible areas. Places where, apart from those much populated areas that you can say, oh yeah, there are many, what have you here, right? This is the Ogun State where these criminals have been in charge of. Give me a sec, man. Put on for 3D. Now, the point I'm making here is this. The people kind of defend them, and they continue to glorify these criminals. They are also victims, though. But now, that they, as usual, when they fight, right? Their fight is always about destruction and destruction and destruction. Okay? So when they finish their destruction, they go back to the same set of people, kind of sway them here and there and say, oh, it's going to be different this time around. Let us go this way again. That's why I hope that what David was proposing earlier will actually come to pass. It is going to save a lot of you from this generational damnation that put these criminals as those in charge. I'll save the rest of my info because it seems that we have shared enough tonight. So I want to take calls. Okay. So I'm going to go and get go and make some extra cup of tea now. Then I will open the line. The number is on your screen. All right. You can use that to be part of this conversation on the phone. But before all of that, okay, take a moment and like the broadcast. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And when I get back, your call may be the one I'm going to pick next. Don't go anywhere.